U.S. Citizenship Test. Why signing the Declaration was dangerous. Learn English easy.
Last time, we left off with those brave men in 1776 declaring independence. But have you ever thought about what that really meant for them personally, Mark?
I guess it meant freedom, but also danger. I mean, Britain wasn't just going to let them walk away.
Exactly. Signing the Declaration of Independence was one of the most dangerous acts in history. Those 56 men weren't just signing a document, they were signing a potential death sentence. They were saying, "We no longer obey the king," knowing full well that if the revolution failed, they'd be executed for treason.
Wow. I didn't realize it was that serious. They were basically risking everything for an idea.
That's right. There's a civics question that connects directly to this. What did the Declaration of Independence do? The answer: it announced our independence from Great Britain. But the deeper story is courage, the kind that builds nations. They didn't know if they would win the war, but they believed freedom was worth dying for.
That's a huge contrast to how I sometimes take freedom for granted. I've never had to risk my life to vote or speak my mind.
And that's why this story still matters. Every new citizen, like you, inherits that same courage. When you take the oath of allegiance, you're not just promising loyalty, you're accepting responsibility for keeping that freedom alive. You're continuing their work.
That's kind of humbling. It makes me think about the citizenship test differently. It's not just a test, it's an introduction to the responsibility of freedom.
Exactly. And if you look at the civics test, many questions trace that responsibility through history. For example, what did the Emancipation Proclamation do? It freed the slaves. Or what movement tried to end racial discrimination? The Civil Rights Movement. These moments are extensions of 1776. Each generation redefines independence for more people.
So independence isn't just a one-time event, it's an ongoing process.
Perfectly said, Mark. And that's why understanding Independence Day is vital to passing the test. When you explain July 4th, don't just say it's when the Declaration was adopted. Say it like you mean it. It's when a group of ordinary people took an extraordinary risk to say freedom belongs to everyone.
I like that. It sounds alive, like something I can feel, not just memorize.
That's exactly how you should approach it. Remember, officers, notice when your answers sound connected to meaning. Think of it this way. History doesn't live in textbooks. It lives in the courage of people who believed in freedom enough to sign their names.
Like John Hancock writing his name big enough for the king to see.
Exactly. That signature is a symbol of fearless conviction. When you sign your naturalization certificate, think of it as your own Hancock moment, a declaration that you too are part of this ongoing story of courage and freedom.
That's powerful. It makes me want to study harder, not just to pass, but to honor that history.
That's the spirit, Mark. You're not just studying to become a citizen. You're studying to become a storyteller of freedom.
You know, Anne, the more I learn about Independence Day, the more I realize freedom isn't simple. It's big, messy, and sometimes even contradictory.
You're absolutely right. Freedom is beautiful, but it's complicated. When the Declaration said, all men are created equal, not everyone was treated that way. That's one of America's great paradoxes. The ideals were perfect, but the reality was flawed.
Yeah, that's hard to reconcile. It's like the country was born with this great dream, but still had a lot of waking up to do.
Exactly. And that's why the story of freedom keeps evolving. Every major moment in American history is about expanding those original promises. The Civil War, the Civil Rights Movement, women's suffrage, each one was America trying to live up to its own declaration. There's even a question on the test about that. What movement tried to end racial discrimination? The answer is the Civil Rights Movement. That movement was a modern continuation of 1776.
So every time someone stands up for justice, they're kind of writing a new chapter of independence.
Beautifully put. Think about Martin Luther King Jr. When he said, "I have a dream," he was echoing Jefferson's words from 1776. He was saying, let's make those words real. That's why another civics question asks, what did Martin Luther King Jr. do? He fought for civil rights. His dream was really about completing the promise of Independence Day.
That's incredible. It's like the Declaration planted a seed, and generations have been watering it ever since.
Exactly. And becoming a U.S. citizen means you're now part of that garden. You're responsible for helping it grow. Freedom isn't something we inherit and forget. It's something we practice. Every time you vote, volunteer, or speak up, you're celebrating Independence Day in action.
So freedom isn't just a holiday, it's a habit.
That's a great way to say it. The civics test actually reinforces that idea. Remember the question, what are 2 ways that Americans can participate in their democracy? The answer is vote and run for office. Those are habits of freedom, just like the colonists exercising self-government for the first time.
It's funny. I used to think the test was just about memorizing facts, but now it feels like learning how to live as a citizen.
That's the whole point. Every question on the test connects to an ideal from the Declaration. For instance, when it asks, what is the rule of law? The answer is everyone must follow the law. That's how freedom is protected. Liberty without law becomes chaos. Law without liberty becomes tyranny. Balance is what keeps the American system strong.
That balance is something I really admire here. In some countries, freedom is only for a few people. But here, at least, the idea is that it belongs to everyone.
Exactly. And though America hasn't always lived up to that perfectly, it keeps striving. That striving is what makes the 4th of July worth celebrating. It's not a celebration of perfection, it's a celebration of progress.
I love that. It means when I watch fireworks this year, I can think of them as a reminder that freedom is still a work in progress.
Absolutely. Each spark represents a story, someone's fight, someone's dream, someone's voice joining the chorus. When you take your oath of allegiance, your voice becomes part of that chorus too. You'll be helping America continue the song it started in 1776.
That makes me feel emotional, honestly. I never thought of citizenship as joining a song, but it's true. Every generation adds a verse.
And yours will too. That's why the 4th of July isn't just about history. It's about hope. Every new citizen renews that hope. You'll celebrate Independence Day not as an observer, but as a keeper of its meaning.
You know, Anne, I can already imagine it. Next July 4th, standing at the ceremony, watching the fireworks, and thinking, I'm part of this now.
You will be, Mark. And when that day comes, you'll understand what the founders felt in 1776. Not the fear or uncertainty, but the joy of declaring, I am free.
And I'll say it in my own way. I am free, and I choose to belong.
That's the truest spirit of Independence Day and the most beautiful reason to become a citizen.